All right, are there any questions?
I have a question about the metric quiz that's showing up. Is that required to do?
That's a practice quiz.
That's the practice quiz?
No, those are not the practice quiz that I gave you for a point. These quizzes that I'm giving you take you offside of my site, but they are metric quizzes. Let me see if I can show you them.
Okay, are they required or no?
No, they're not required.
Okay,
They're just for people to practice the metric system.
Okay, thank you.
Where is that? There they are. So yeah, these go outside of my website. Generally, they do work. If they don't work on the current browser you're working, you don't click there, you click up here. They go outside of my site, and boy, where is that going? It doesn't look like they're going to work. I'm going to have to change that. This is going to another college. Anyways, like I said, they're quizzes that go outside of my site. Let's see if they all are going to do that. Yeah, they're all going to Clark College. All right, I'll have to look into that and see if I can put in another link because these links aren't working. Anyways, what they are is they are not required. They're just a practice quiz for you to work with the metric system. And they're supposed to go to another website where you have a quiz. And it looks like they're not working, meaning that the link I have doesn't quite work. It's going to the wrong college. I'll straighten that. Let me make a note. I'll make sure I get that done. All right, any other questions? What we're going to do is talk about the Infectious Disease project, but I want to answer any questions if you have other questions. No other questions, all right? I'm making a note to myself to make sure I fix the link on the metric quizzes. The metric quizzes, as I said, are just for you to practice the metric system. I'm not giving you any extra credit points if you take them, but if you are needing practice on the metric system, they're there. Are you guys seeing a button that says that this is being recorded?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I want to talk about the Infectious Disease project. If you come and take a look at what we're doing today, that's all I have on the schedule for today. Although let me remind you, you have to take the plagiarism tutorial and the plagiarism quiz by 11:59 p.m. Friday night, June 5th. And I think all of my quizzes I have on Friday night, except for the practice quiz. That's Tuesday night. All right, any questions about that? Actually, I think I'll close this. So I'm going to talk to you about the Infectious Disease Research Project. How you can get to that is scroll down to week 1 of the lab, and there's the link for the Infectious Disease Research Project. It is a 100-point project, and it is due July 14th. Click on that link.
That file actually isn't available to us to open until midnight. If you look at the permissions right there.
Ah, yes. Well, let's change that. Thank you. I can open it, so I didn't notice that. Let's make that June 1st. There you go. Yeah, it's hard for you to read it if it's not available to open. Now you can get it. And when you open it, you'll come to this, which this doesn't really tell you much. You got to click on that link, and then that'll open a web page. I've already got it open, so I'm not going to open it. Here it is here. And I've highlighted what I want to go over. So this is an infectious disease research project, and it's not due until July 14th, but it's going to take you time to do. So get started on it. And if you remember in the schedule, which I don't have here anymore, we're doing things every day, Monday through Thursday. And you're going to have another big project starting, the unknown project. So don't wait on your infectious disease project until late in the term, because otherwise you're going to have too much to do. You need to get started on that soon. Doesn't have to be now, but it should be soon. This is an infectious disease project, and you're going to focus your attention on a specific infectious disease. You are going to become an expert on one particular disease. The rationale is you're going to be demonstrating to me that you have a detailed understanding of the disease interaction between the human body and a pathogenic microbe. So you're going to have an infectious disease caused by a microorganism. You're going to demonstrate an ability to effectively communicate complex scientific information. You're going to show that you have effective personal time management, why I'm telling you to get started now, effective organization and study skills. You're also going to show that you understand the history of our knowledge of the disease, the causative agent of the disease, the cellular and acellular anatomy of a pathogenic microbe. I'm kind of busy at the moment. Can I talk to you later? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Show that you have an understanding of the cellular or acellular anatomy of a pathogenic microbe. Show that you have an epidemiology, understand the epidemiology of the disease. Show the human immune response that happens with the pathogenic microbe. Show your drug treatments or other medical interventions used to combat the pathogenic microbe. And then lastly, show the sociological, economical, and political factors that influence our ability to deal with the disease. So you need to pick an infectious disease and check with me about your disease. Normally what I have is I have each student work on a different disease. So the first person who sends in the report, you will get that disease. However, this is a large class, and at one point there were 40 students. I don't think there's 40 students in the class anymore, but it's still pretty large. And so I'm going to allow a little bit of overlap, as long as there's not more than about 2 people picking the same disease, I will allow an overlap. But there's not going to be a lot of overlap. So you do have to check with me about your disease. And then the other reason why I want to check with you about the disease is, and do this early, is I want to say that this disease is okay to choose. Frequently students have an idea about a disease and they want to do it, and A, it's either not an infectious disease, in which case I won't allow it, or B, it's a disease caused by one or more microorganisms. Well, excuse me, it's caused by more than one microorganism. And so I won't allow that specific disease. Although frequently I tell them, if you pick a particular agent that causes that disease and narrow it down to that one organism causing the disease, then I will allow it. So that's why I want to have a check here. After I approve it, you then should perform a search, and you should use reputable sources to learn about the assigned disease and then begin writing your report. You want to submit a detailed written report that details all the information about your disease. Please make the type in 12-point font. Okay, if it's 10-point font, I'll have a hard time reading it. So I do insist that it be 12-point font. Do have cover information, but do not have a separate cover page. Your cover information should be the title with the name of the disease, your name, the date, and then the course name. Do not have a separate cover page. Just put that information on the top of your first page of the text. The text, it says, should not exceed 5 single-sided pages, but I'm going to let that slip to 6 pages. You should have your material presented in the text, and the material will be worth 60 points. There will be an additional 15 points for grammar, spelling, flow, readability, etc. Everything should be written as much as you can in your own words. Use direct quotes only when absolutely necessary. Any information that is not common knowledge or any information directly quoted should be put in quotes, or if it's common knowledge and you're using it in your own words, it's not common knowledge. Like you're talking about how many people died today from COVID-19 in the United States. You need to give a citation there, and you give an immediate in-text citation, okay? Not at the end of the paragraph. Otherwise, you will be charged with plagiarism. You're quoting from somebody, or you're getting data that you got from some other source and you didn't give an in-text citation, and that'll be plagiarism, and that'll result in a 0 for the paper. And that would be really bad because this is worth 100 points. In-text citations will be worth 10 points. Use this style where you give the author's last name, that should be last name, and then the year, and you generally put it in parentheses. So, I don't know, you're saying, in the United States, there were over 1,000 deaths on June 3rd. You then state whoever author you got that from, and then the year, which would be 2020, and then I can look that up in your last page, the references or citation, and look to see where you got that from. Okay? Any question about the in-text citation? So that's in the body of your text. All right. You should use a citation standard, and I think APA is the way that we're using in the tutorial. Sources that you cite in your paper should be scientifically appropriate and reputable. So government information, generally okay, like the Center for Disease Control. Scientific journals like Nature and Science, okay. Any of the literature of the scientific articles would be good. Popular magazines that are known to be reliable, like Scientific American, National Geographic, Time, those are all good. Books and textbooks on biology, microbiology, those are good. A reputable newspaper like the New York Times. Do not give me a newspaper like the National Enquirer, okay? So it has to be a reputable newspaper. You can have a variety of scientifically reputable television shows like the History Channel, PBS, those are all good. Sources to be suspicious of, and you should not include as a reference, would be something from a religious organization, a political organization, or a privately funded publication or website. Personal people's website should not be used. You should not use a college or university webpage if that information contains student work. Now, if you use a college or university page and it doesn't have student work, then it's okay. Like if you use my website, I'm not a student, so it's okay. All right. Generally, college and university page is okay, but if you're using it, make sure the page you're using isn't published by a student, because that'll have errors in it. Do not use Wikipedia. You may use Wikipedia to get information about your source, but if you do, don't use Wikipedia as a reference. And if you need to cite something, you have to find where Wikipedia got that information from, okay? So Wikipedia is not allowed because anyone can go into Wikipedia and change it. And I actually have done that just to test it. And I was surprised that where I went was something that Wikipedia didn't have locked down, because a lot of people go into Charles Darwin and some real flakes will write something strange about that. And they actually allowed us to change it. And so that's why we don't allow Wikipedia, because anyone can go in there and change it. Now, Wikipedia is a good source and you can use it to get information, but if you're citing that information, you have to give a reputable source. You can't give Wikipedia as a source. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for confirming that. So at the end, you should give a literature citation page. You could call that the reference page. That's a list of all the sources you cited within your article. And then any information you got should be in your literature citation page. So it should be at the end. And generally, those should be both in the literature cited page, meaning references, as well as an in-text citation. You must have at least 4 unique references, and the complete literature citation will be worth 15 points. So about 10 points for the in-text citation and 15 for the reference page. You then send the document in the appropriate folder on Canvas, and it's the Infectious Disease Research Project folder. And it must be in either Microsoft Doc or DocX document, Microsoft Word document, rich text formatted document, or a PDF formatted document. All other documents will not be accepted. And for heaven's sakes, if you have another format, don't just change the ending of your document. I can't believe students actually do that. The program you have will put those last 3 or 4, what do you call it, references for the document, meaning you go dot, meaning period, and then we'll talk about it, what it is. Let the program do that. If you go in and change it, that's not going to be doable, because when I try to open it, I won't be able to open it. All right, the content of the text will be worth 60 points, and use these subject headings in your in-text paper so I know where each section begins and ends. And that's why I increased it to 6 pages. You're going to be talking about the causative agent. It should be at least 1 paragraph long, but it could be as long as 1 page.
I have a question. Where do you want us to put those headings at?
You're going to have your cover information on the first page, the title of it, and that will have your name and the date, etc. And then right after that, still on the first page, you will have the content of your text. Okay?
Like an index?
So you'll have in your text, you'll have the name of your paper, and then you will have the causative agent. Okay? And then you will be talking about the causative agent, at least in your first paragraph, maybe the first page. All right? Any questions about that?
So in front of each like paragraph, I put like causative agent or whatever other section it is.
If you only have one paragraph for each section, yes. Obviously, you could spend more than one paragraph on the causative agent.
Okay.
Okay? Try not to spend more than a page on each area because you're going to have 6 areas. All right, so you should talk about the history of your agent, causative agent. You should have a section talking about the epidemiology. And like I said, in each of these areas, you should have at least a paragraph, okay? And not longer than a page. You should have a section talking about the pathology of your causative agent. You should have a section talking about the response and treatment used against your causative agent. And then lastly, you should have a section talking about the socio, political, and economic considerations. Okay? And then at the very end of your paper was where you'll have the references. And remember, like I said, it said 5 pages, but there's 6 areas, so I'll allow it to be 6 pages. So don't make it 4 pages, and then don't make it 20 pages. Don't make it more than 6 pages, okay? And your references can be the 7th page if you absolutely must, but I prefer it being 6 pages.
Is there a minimum number of references?
Yeah, you have to have at least 4 references,
Okay.
okay? And there's no maximum number. All right, let me move that over here because I'm not seeing the thing. So this is the grading rubric, how it'd be graded. 1 point for the cover information. And that means I can't scroll here. Boy, this isn't going to work well. Let me put that way over there. 9 points discussing the causative agent, and the reason why that's 9 and all the others are 10 is I just decided that the cover information has to be there, so it's going to be 1 point. And I took it away from the first item, which is probably the thing you'll be spending the most time talking about. 10 points for the history, 10 points for the epidemiology, 10 points for the pathology, 10 points for the response and treatment, 10 points for the social and political economic issues, 15 points on the quality of your writing, 10 points on the in-text citation, 15 points on the literature cited page. And let me warn you that the literature citation page or references is where students have probably the most trouble. And I don't know if they're just not using APA style, but I will look at that. And if there's problems, you'll be marked down. So you must follow the citation style, and every in-text citation should be in the literature citation page. And if there isn't, you'll be marked down. You must have 4 reputable sources. And generally, I can just look at them and tell if they're reputable, but I can look them up if I need to. And that'll be a total of 100 points. All right, any questions about any of this project?
Yes, it does say that we can use MLA if we choose to, correct?
Yes. Okay. As long as you're consistent, I'm not going to mark you down on that.
How many pages to this paper?
It should be 6 pages. It does say 5. I'll get that changed because you have 6 areas. Okay. If there's no further questions, we're done with the lab. Is there any questions about anything in the lab or the lecture? All right. I will end this and we will see each other tomorrow. Bye.
So you just wanted us to email you what we wanted, the virus that we want to work on?
Yeah, email me whatever your project's about. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I was thinking HPV.
Okay.